Welcome to another episode of the Meal Prep Monday podcast. I'm your host, Allison Schaaf, and today I'm talking about air fryers. Before jumping into the episode, I wanted to remind you that if you want to try out our time-saving meal plans, head to prepdish.com/MPM, short for Meal Prep Monday. And because on my computer, I have my meal plan pulled up from last night's dinner. Right now, I'm doing February week 4 super fast plan, meaning I had 5 meals prepped in under an hour. And here what was on my menu this week. So a pecan pesto salmon with roasted Brussels sprouts and cauliflower, chorizo tacos with lime-soaked cabbage and cilantro. We actually did the tacos last night, but we used ground beef just because we wanted to swap. And sometimes the chorizo I buy is a little spicy for one of my kids, so we just did ground beef. Pesto spaghetti with spinach and tomatoes, a 1 skillet chicken thigh with white beans, kale, and olives, and a beef chili with avocado slices. So if you would like to try out this and some of our other meal plans, you can head to prepdish.com/MPM. And again, you can try us out 2 weeks for free. I recommend starting with one of the menus like the one I read to you, which is our super fast, meaning the meal prep is very minimal. Okay. Let's talk air fryers. So I know that air fryers are very popular, and I think in the beginning I resisted buying one just because, I don't know, I'm not really quick to jump onto kitchen fads specifically, I guess, because I kind of like have my way of doing things. And like even the Instant Pot, I don't think I was like one of the first ones to go and purchase an Instant Pot. I will say I love my Instant Pot. I still use that on a regular basis. So I'm glad I ended up jumping on board with that trend. But the air fryer, I guess I didn't quite see the appeal of like when I would actually use it. And then my biggest hesitation was when I started looking at air fryers to buy. And this was maybe 2 years ago. And I started looking at all of the different air fryers on the market. And the thing that I noticed is that most of them use a nonstick coating or Teflon, and then like an aluminum base. And I, in general, try and always avoid any nonstick coating. And I know there's a lot of different, formulations and safer formulations that are out there. Now, some of the issues with nonstick coating is a lot of them contain these PFAS. So it's PFAS. They're also referenced as forever chemicals because they basically stay in the environment forever. Now, the issue with these forever chemicals, PFAS, is they've been linked to a lot of health issues. The big one that always comes up is cancer, but also birth defects, lowered immunity in kids. I was trying to look at a few studies before hopping on here, and there was one that, when they're heated to a certain temperature, which of course, if you're cooking with, Teflon, it's going to be heated sometimes to a high temperature. It was harmful to small birds. And I thought that was funny because I, of course, immediately thought, canary in a coal mine. But a lot of reasons to not want to, cook with these chemicals. And some of them, even if they are, the argument is like, oh, well, they're safe, but until it chips. And if you look at any pan, like over time, it is going to chip and then it does leach into your food. So I'm very aware of what materials I'm cooking with, both from a culinary perspective, but also a health perspective. And I'm pretty particular. And for me, it's kind of, rather than going out and doing this heavy research into all of these different, new formulations and like, well, maybe this one's safe. It's like, I know in my mind, my kind of go-tos. So I have my, trusty old, cast iron pan. And then I tend to just go to stainless steel for both my stovetop pans and then my oven ones. Now, going back to the air fryer. So, the difference in the air fryer versus an oven. And this is what I've tried to kind of wrap my head around. So everyone's like, oh, the air fryer is great. And some people have said to me, well, I love it because like at lunch, it's a lot easier than turning on the oven. It's kind of smaller. You can just stick it in there. It's like more convenient. So I get that. And I actually did go through probably a year ago when I was doing all this. And I did find an air fryer that was made with it was like a glass air fryer. Oh, and I also would, include in the kind of safer, cookware, I would include glass as well. Like for example, like a glass pie pan. I prefer that over a pie pan that was made with a Teflon or some sort of nonstick coating. So anyway, I found a glass air fryer and bought it and started using it. And I don't know, one, it wasn't by a brand or like one of these well-known ones that everyone talks about. So, there may be a few things that were kind of missing because I went with this different kind. But the one that I got, it actually didn't fit, like the quantity of food that it fit was pretty low. And for me, like, I don't know, I feel like my family's, pretty big eaters, even though my kids are still toddlers. So like, if I'm going to be like roasting vegetables or, anything like that, putting it in the oven to me makes a little more sense. Although being in Texas, it's hot not only all summer long. I mean, right now, as I'm recording this, it's the very end of February and it's already, 80 degrees out. So, turning on the oven at lunch to roast vegetables, sometimes I get that that's not the most appealing thing. But again, like I just didn't find when I used my air fryer, it wasn't enough because a lot of times, my kids are still home most days for lunch. And so I didn't find that I was able to really cook for my family using it. I think maybe if it was just me, like I could see the appeal, like it's smaller. And then there's kind of two different styles of air fryers from what I noticed in my research of this, of like, some of them are actually just like miniature ovens. Like I would call it a toaster oven, but they're calling those air fryers as well. But in the past, I've had those toaster ovens back when I was, younger and single, living on my own. And the toaster ovens were really nice. And I do think those have less concerns because they're just kind of like an oven rack and you can buy kind of whatever cookware you want. So those, I think could be a good alternative. But again, I would categorize that as a toaster oven and not an air fryer. The air fryers, I think of like these baskets that pull out. And again, the material that the baskets are made of, I think people don't always think through what is, because I think at this point, most people have heard of, nonstick coating and trying to avoid that in like, your cookware. But I don't think people think about that in the basket of an air fryer and what that's actually made of. So I guess that was kind of my first concern is like, what is it made of? And then my second issue was I did purchase an air fryer and just did not find it. I didn't find it useful for my purposes. But again, you could argue that I didn't try out the real air fryer that some people, that's more similar to what most people are using. And maybe it's just kind of like season of life, like where my family's at. Like that's not something that we're really in need of right now. Like I think just a regular old oven seems to do just fine for us. So there you have it. That's my thoughts on the air fryer. I welcome questions, comments. If you're in the Facebook group and you want to post about this, I'm definitely open to hearing about, if you guys have an amazing one that you love and that you think is safe and can argue for, like happy to, hear about that. And I'm open to even trying one again, like especially with having my job is running Prep Dish. So I definitely feel like it's my responsibility to look into all of these kitchen fads and see like, are they going to help people have, our goal at Prep Dish is always healthier, tastier meals, but like, doing it faster as well. Like we're always looking, how can we, decrease your time spent in the kitchen and make things quicker for you? So I'm definitely open to anything that's going to do that. And, if the air fryer was one of those things, I definitely want to, include that in our meal plans. Like we've done that. We've shifted a lot of our plans to include instant pot options. Cause I know for a lot of people, including myself, it really does make life easier. So, still open to considering it and hearing other sides, but that's my take as of today on the air fryer. If you are a longtime listener of this podcast and have not left us a rating or review, I would just really appreciate you doing that. It just helps other people to find this podcast. And Another reminder that if you have not tried out our meal plans, you can head to prepdish.com/MPM. That's short for Meal Prep Monday, and try out 2 weeks for free. See how it works for you. No fancy gadgets required, no air fryer required, even the Instant Pot not required. I really try and make sure that those plans are super approachable and user-friendly, don't require any special equipment, a good cutting board, a good knife. But the goal is to really help you get healthier, tastier meals on the table every night, and spend more time with your family. Okay, that is all I have for this week. I will be back again next week with another episode.